Today, we're going to be discussing one of the most controversial figures in jazz, Mr. Ferdinand Joseph Lamothe, better known as Jelly Roll Morton. We're going to say that in 1890, he was bestowed upon the world and soon became known as Jelly Roll Morton. Very, very unusual and controversial character in jazz. You see, he would tell you that he created jazz all by himself. The problem is he was born in 1890, and we know that Buddy Bolden was playing jazz before he was ever born. So that had to be at best an exaggeration, and he was really full of those. We do know, however, that in 1915 he published his Jelly Roll Blues, which proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that a music that had been rooted in improvisation could actually be notated, written down in such a manner as the spirit and intent of the music would be preserved even in written form. That's because Jelly would write down the essentials and still leave room for the improvisations. He was a very, very fine composer and musician. Wolverine Blues is one of his. Black Bottom Blues is one of his. And the real funky modal Jungle Blues, which I love, is one of his. Many, many others. Him being so braggadocious, he was like, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, but he cheated, you see. He would never take real fast tempo because he just did not have the technique necessary to handle those fast tempos. He just didn't have it. So he would take things at a moderate tempo and just make sure that it was grooving really, really hard. And of course, he was a showman, and he was a good-looking man. He was a great dresser. You know, he could really, really, really be very impressive in his performance attire. Matter of fact, the ladies all refer to him as Mr. Jelly Lord. They will come not to listen, but just to look at him. So he had all that kind of thing going for him. He also probably had a lot of other things going on, so he didn't practice like a lot of musicians did. So he could not maintain those high-intensity triple forte sounds that other jazz piano players did. He would take a more French, Spanish, Creole style and play soft at times, and even soft at times, and some mezzos, and then get into the big moments. And that way he is preserving his strength and endurance, but it also lends more variety to the music, which is enhancing the music. So he was also very creative, and how shall we say, he also learned to accentuate the positives and to hide all of his weaknesses. He followed the same path as most jazz musicians, played around New Orleans until after Storyville closed, and when things got a little thin around New Orleans, he followed the Great Migration up to Chicago, and he played with just about everybody he could there for as long as he could. He ended up in New York and playing with everybody there as well. I mean, he was a great player, he was a great showman, and so he did keep himself working. He didn't take particularly good care of himself because of his love of life, shall we say. And so he didn't live as long as a lot of other musicians did, but what he contributed in that time is just amazing. And we kind of believe that he was braggadocious because he was simply trying to conceal some of his liabilities. Nonetheless, he's a pioneer, he's an innovator, he is one of the most creative spirits we have had in jazz, and one of the most controversial. We're talking about Mr. Jelly Roll Morton. Thank you.